Hey everybody, I'm Cheyenne Adamson and welcome back to the Yes Phonics channel. This is where teachers, tutors, homeschoolers, and educators everywhere come for valuable teaching information and insights. And today's topic is going to be about how you can get out from underneath the standardized testing and its nonsense. So this is going to be a guide for parents. And right now I have a Princeton Review study guide on my table that has this to say about the new edition of the Graduate Record Exam, or otherwise known as the GRE. Quote, "It's safe to say that neither the GRE, new or old, is a realistic measure of how well you'll do in grad school or even how intelligent you are. The GRE provides a valid assessment of only one thing. The GRE assesses how well you take the GRE. Now, it would be fair to accuse the Princeton Review of cynicism for publishing something so easily. After all, they're about to spend 400 pages under the assumption that the GRE is important. It would not be fair, however, to single them out because everybody else in the American education system is doing the exact same thing, teaching to the test." So, high-stakes standardized testing in the United States was a well-intentioned idea. Make all students take a single test every year and you'll be able to measure educational achievement without having to account for the way tests vary from classroom to classroom. Sounds great, right? But in actuality, it's not so great. You will hypothetically arrive at a single impartial set of data which all students can be measured. This data would be the El Dorado. See what I did there? For the educational administrators. So it's not surprising that standardized testing became a federal mandate under the George W. Bush's No Child Left Behind program in the early 2000s, which I've talked about ad nauseum on this channel and how bad and how much nonsense it is. Standardized tests were the only measure of achievement in No Child Left Behind. And if a school district tested poorly, the results could be catastrophic. Missed testing targets 3 years in a row, for instance, would force a school to provide extra instruction to its students while those students were allowed to transfer to other schools. In other words, every time a school failed to hit an arbitrary goal, it was forced to work with fewer resources. Sounds like a winning idea. The only way for a school to get out of this death spiral, in many cases, was to focus all of its curricular efforts on nailing its test targets every year. The type of instruction this leads to is, to put it mildly, ineffective. In an educational leadership article from 2001, the dawn of No Child Left Behind era, W. James Popham lays out a distinction between curriculum teaching and item teaching. Curriculum teaching works like this. A teacher learns that a standardized test will measure her students' ability to solve algebraic equations with two variables and decides to teach multivariable equations this semester instead of geometry. In item teaching, however, another teacher might look at this year's standardized test, clone all of the multivariable equations, and drill her students on them until test day. Now, obviously, we know which students are going to be better and learn more and will be better at arithmetic. The first teacher students, obviously, are going to be better at math. They'll know how to solve multivariable equations, while the second teacher students will only know how to solve one type of problem over and over and over and over and over. The problem is that the second teacher students will score higher on the standardized test because they've essentially been taking it bit by bit all semester. And since the standardized test is the only way to measure students, the second teacher will look better than the first one. Now imagine that the school district has just missed its test targets for the second year in a row. And it's easy to extrapolate that the first teacher will be under a lot of pressure to change the way she teaches. This is a special case of a principle called Campbell's Law, which the education historian Diane Ravitch sums up in a blog post, which I'll link down below so you guys can go read that more in depth if you so choose to do so. Now, apply Campbell's Law all over the country, and you have an American education today. Even though the last provisions of the No Child Left Behind were washed away in 2015, the fundamental problems of standardized testing persist in the form of the Obama administration's race to the top, which I've talked about before on this channel as well, and how much of a flaming pile of garbage that program is. Education reformers around the country are chaotically focused on firing teachers when their students test poorly. In other words, when the teachers won't teach the test, and in the worst cases, poor standardized test scores are an excuse for closing schools in droves and firing teachers. Now, obviously, I bet you guys can just see right away how much nonsense this is. I mean, it's just catastrophically bad, and students are suffering, and they're not learning anything. And the big part of it is that when you're trying to teach the test, it almost seems obvious to me, Brandon, but when you're teaching the test, you're sacrificing so many other subjects to try to perfect those one or two subjects. If you have to align to an arbitrary score that has no particular science or data behind it, it's just a number that the government picked out of the hat. If you have to meet that number, well, then you're going to focus all your energy on those two subjects or that one subject. And you're going to leave out science. You're going to leave out social studies. You're going to leave out art. You're going to leave out PE. You're going to leave, I mean, like the list just, it goes on and on and on. So that's kind of my problem with it is not only are these students not learning anything, but they're also like sacrificing all these other subjects that they could perfectly well be learning as well. And it's just a hodgepodge of nightmares, not to mention all the teachers being fired. And I'm just kind of upset about it, honestly. It's a little annoying.
Not the only one, I don't think.
Yeah. It's annoying, huh, Kenneth?
Yeah.
Thank you. The American education system has such a big diffuse problem that it's hard to tell where to start solving it. If you feel comfortable homeschooling your child, that's an obvious solution. Taking them out of the traditional school means that you can forget about item teaching and standardized testing and the whole mess. If your kids are in public school, though, try to hold your school district accountable. Ask your child what they learned in school every night. Work on homework with them. If it becomes clear that all they're learning is how to take a standardized test, then they're being shortchanged, and you have a problem. My advice is to bring your concerns to your child's teacher first, but bear in mind that they're rarely any freer than their students, whether it's pressure from the school district or the culture in the school in general, or their unions. Teachers' hands are often tied, and even if they know it's not helping their students, they don't have anywhere to go. So you can try to organize other parents and speak to the administration. That's an avenue as well. I mean, go in numbers. That would be great. And if that doesn't work, another solution is to opt out of the test entirely. Yes, you can do that, and it's great. Taking your students out of the standardized test is legal under the 2015 education law, according to the National Center for Fair and Open Testing. And the secret of standardized testing is that public opinion is turning against it. Yes, all right. Fewer and fewer colleges require SAT or ACT scores. And students are starting to walk out of the tests all over the country. The National Center for Fair and Open Testing offers a guide for parents who are interested in organizing opt-outs in their school districts. Even teachers' unions, formerly strong advocates of standardized testing, have started to come out in favor of opting out. Opting out might seem like the nuclear option for parents worried about teaching to the test, but if your local school district is unresponsive or immobile, it might be the best choice. Whatever you choose to do, remember that you don't need to let the educational system fail your children. There's a growing consensus that high-stakes standardized testing is a dead end, and you can be part of it. Subscribe to the Yes Phonics blog on our website, and please go ahead and throw us a subscription on our YouTube channel. I know I ask for that every single time, and I'll probably continue to ask for it because it helps us grow. And if you have questions, concerns, or comments, leave them in the comment section below. And lastly, you can check out our mnemonic phonic technique, which is linked below in the description, so you can start teaching the 72 sounds of English today for free. And that's the end of the video, my fellow educators. I hope this has been somewhat interesting and a revelatory discussion for teachers and parents and students alike. So anyways, be well, stay classy, my fellow educators, and I'll see you in the next video. Mistesting 3 targets. Ooh, oof. Don't worry, I can talk. You bet I can.